Well, here we are at PBR TV on a nice crisp autumn day. The sun is out and it's an ideal time to get on board Jeanneau's new MF895 Offshore Marlin. This being the MF895 Marlin, there are quite a few substantial differences between this and the conventional MF895 Merry Fisher. Obviously, it's got fishing in mind. I say in mind because it's not a purist fishing boat, but it does cater for fishing. What we do have is a very substantial storage void here. This is quite impressive, considering this is a 9-metre boat. You've got this area here, and then which you can immediately just cast junk down into, like these fenders, as you inevitably will, and then you've got these two specific storage compartments just aft of it, plus there are waterproof hatches on both the port and the starboard quarters that give you access into the systems in that direction. As you see, this fisherman's delight, the bait well, whatever you want to call it, this slides forward up to there, okay, about 18 inches. Then behind it, aft of it, there is a void into which the outboard engines can trim up fully, so the outboard legs are completely clear of the water. On the starboard beam, you have the side gate. Really a crucial feature with any boat that's got side decks which are just over a foot wide, because obviously you're going to want to step in and out, especially if you're coming out from the helm, especially for single crews, you want to get out through here. I will say there is not a waterproof seal, making sure this is totally watertight, but that would only really be an issue in extreme weather. Well, the foredeck area, this is obviously a new feature on the 895 Marlin, which the other Jeanneau 895s do not have. I must say I do like it. I think it's been, as a fishing feature, that's great, but it's also a very great social place. A lot of people would just like this to sit out and socialise like this. Well, here we have a chain locker, sensibly with a gas-assisted strut. It's a logical, neat touch front anchor locker, but not every boat of this size has that logical touch. Quite often you're just going to pull them up and possibly they'll stay up, but no, this one goes up, its own accord, stays there. It's a good size, more than enough room than you need for your warps, your anchor chain. You won't get many fenders in there, but then it wasn't actually built for that. And a remote control for your windlass. Though it's not immediately obvious, this boat actually has a full cabin escape hatch, which obviously from a safety point of view is pretty crucial, but it also enables you to get some cool air down in that in the full cabin on a hot day. The cushion slides off, secured with a safety tab. And then again, 2 gas struts will lift it up. As is becoming fashionable now with these SUV style adventure boats, a roof rack to put all those crucial adventure toys like wakeboards and mountain bikes, strap them down on top and off you go. Just to enhance its SUV type personality, it has these light bars on the front. There have been quite a few Merry Fisher 895s in the past. There've been the normal 895 powered by a single engine, generally a Yamaha F300, or you could go for the Offshore version, which had twin 200 Yamahas, or you can go for the new Offshore Marlin, which has twin 250 Yamahas, or you can just go for the normal Marlin, which has 200 Yamahas and is a little bit lighter. But this is top of the range, the MF895 Offshore, and it comes with twin 250 Yamahas. The best option, and really in my opinion probably the only option to go for. Well, it's designed as a fishing boat stroke family pleasure boat. It's equally good at either. It's quite capable as a fishing boat, but I would argue it's probably better as a family boat. I would like this as a family boat from my personal point of view. I like the deck access, I like the asymmetrical wheelhouse design. You can walk down on the starboard side very easily, very safe. You get a reasonably spacious wheelhouse with very good all-round visibility. You get a massive amount of storage in the lazarette. Obviously the sleeping accommodation is not huge because of the foredeck design with regards to the master cabin, and you get the normal undersold cabin amidships, which is what you'd expect on a boat like this. Where does it excel over its counterparts is probably in its construction and the heavier build that this boat gets in order to cater for the increase in horsepower as well as larger fuel capacity. Okay, this boat displaces 3.8 tons with engines fitted dry. That's with no fuel, no water. The Offshore Marlin, as opposed to the normal Marlin, has twin 300 litre fuel tanks. The standard Marlin just has twin 200 litre fuel tanks. So you get a 33% increase in range. It makes good sense to go for the bigger fuel tanks, in my opinion, especially when you're running twin 250 horsepower petrol engines. And this boat is obviously built to go offshore and to clock up some sea miles. Okay, catering facilities are, I suppose, slightly limited, but then this boat wasn't really designed as a blue water cruiser. The first thing you're going to come across is a 50 litre fridge, pretty much par for the course for a 9 metre cabin boat. A bit of storage here, probably going to put your knives and forks in there, and you've got storage down here. Bit of food. Cooking, well, you might want to weigh where are you going to cook with this. They've kind of stolen the type of idea from the smaller Botanitargas, where they stick the galley up next to the helm, and that's what they've done here. And here is a galley. You need to take the actual hob out, put it in position, and then you can use it. They've done quite a good job with the heads, in my opinion, because there isn't really a lot of space. And I'll tell you right now, the exact height of this head is 1.83 meters, or in old imperial terms, 6 feet. I know that because that's how tall I am, and I can stand in there and my head touches the ceiling. So yes, you can use the shower if you're 6 foot just, but you're going to have to bend a little bit. And if you're shorter, that's not a problem. It does have a shower. Obviously it's got a decent pump out heads, and it's got a sink. The master cabin in the forepeak, it has an infill here. That makes it into a double bed. It's not huge. It's got a hanging locker on the port side, which will hang a couple of oilskins or a few shirts and a couple of pairs of shoes. That's about it, but it'll do. It's not huge. You've got standing headroom here to get undressed. It's reasonably well lit, and there is an escape hatch leading out to the foredeck just over the bed. On the port side, you got access to the mid cabin. The actual bed is quite substantial. You'd probably choose it over the forepeak, which is quite often the case. There are storage compartments along the aft bulkhead of the mid cabin, but if you're just a couple, realistically you're probably going to get changed in the forepeak cabin and then sleep in the mid cabin, simply because it's a bigger, longer, wider bed. Dashboard space is limited. You get a 9-inch plotter, you get an engine display, you get a VHF radio, you get the primary switches here, bow thruster, and control for the zip weight, trim tabs just to the left hand side of the wheel, and below that you get the windscreen wipers. And obviously the throttle is just where your right hand falls. It's what you'd expect for something this sort of size. The actual helm position is not too bad. It's quite comfortable seated. So that's okay, even though I'd bring it further forward, which you can do quite easily here. Depending on how tall you are. Yeah, that's okay. If you're cruising and you're clocking up sea miles, you sit here, that's quite comfortable. Maybe the wheels a little bit, and I'd probably like that 3 inches closer to me, but it depends how long your arms are. And it depends also whether you're going to stand or sit when you drive the boat. Okay, if you're standing, yeah, that's fine. That works okay. Your feet wedge against the bulkhead, your hand goes where the throttle's up, your left hand goes where the wheel is. It's not a problem. That setup's fine. Quite happy with that. If you're happy standing, then it's a great position. Otherwise, it's a bit of a stretch for the left arm when you're sitting. But visibility is pretty good. There's no real blind spots I can think of at all. When you're not using this in fishing boat mode, which is probably going to be quite a bit of the time, and you want a bit of alfresco dining for the family, there's a very nice teak table, fits in here perfectly, which is stashed below, and then you've got fold-out seating on the starboard, on port sides, and across the transom. Ideal, you're going to sit probably 6 at a squeeze around the table, realistically more like 4. Okay, storage underneath the cockpit is pretty impressive. Comes up in 2 gas rams, so no chance of it falling down, trapping your fingers. Quite a reasonable storage cavity, and then there are 2 aft storage lockers to keep smaller items, probably tools and spare parts. They'll stay secure there and they won't fall about at sea, they won't slide about all over the bilge. For the keen fisherman, you have this area here to prepare the fish. Once you've gutted them, you've then got this large rectangular draining well here, and there is a shower just there in the starboard quarter. You can clean the fish off and then keep them fresh with ice if you need to. The starboard bathing platform doesn't just provide quite easy access onto the pontoon, but you've also got a bathing ladder underneath for those who want to go bathing. The all-important side door. What is impressive about this side door? The width of it. They're normally about this sort of size, even on a boat bigger than this. And you normally have to squeeze in and out, and in doing so, you bang your knees or your head. But this, well, if you're clumsy, you might bang your head, but you're never going to bang your knees. It's perfect. Someone's actually thought about getting out of this boat when it's pitching or rolling. Straight onto the side deck, foredeck, cockpit, wherever you need to go. Well, what do I like about this boat? The drivability of it, the performance from having 2 250 horsepower engines. The difference between driving this and a normal old school Merry Fisher 895 with a 300 horsepower on the back, they're leagues apart. This boat is great fun to drive. It picks up when you want it to. It's quick. It's got a nice easy cruising speed, about 24 knots. It's very, very comfortable. You don't feel you're pushing the motors too hard. If you push up to 30 knots, you still don't really feel like this boat is working. It's not until you get towards the late 30s that you feel it going fast, and let's face it, that is quite fast for a 9-metre fishing boat with twin 250s on the back. If I was buying this boat, what would I change? I'd probably opt to have flexi-ting. I'm not a great lover of non-slip white GRP decks. They just look dirty very easily, and I would like flexi-teak. Apparently Jeanneau do offer teak. That's part of a factory option, but the dealer will fit flexi-teak and various colours, and I'd go for that. Also, there is now, I understand, the option of 3-stage power steering, which Yamaha are offering. I definitely have that. It will make this boat easier to berth, easier to drive at low speed, because the steering, once you're up and going, is quite reasonable, but it's not what I'd call light and easy. This boat costs £154,000 as tested, as specified. That's with twin 250s. If you go for the normal MF895 Marlin with 200s, I mean not the offshore version, it's going to cost you £7,000 less. It's a no-brainer. This is the one you want to go for. Not just because it's slightly heavier, built slightly stronger to take the extra horsepower, but really a boat like this needs that extra horsepower to be able to comfortably lope along, clock up the sea miles, plus you get the extra fuel capacity. Okay, reference fit and finish on this boat, it's reasonable. This is a 150k boat. It's the sort of fit and finish you would expect for this price and this size of boat. It's not built in Scandinavia, it's not a Windy, it's not an Ordstar, but it doesn't have their price tag. Jeanneau have always produced good value boats, solidly built, but at the end of the day, there's an old saying, you get what you pay for. In this case, I think you get a little bit more than you get with some other manufacturers. Yeah, if you've liked it, give us a thumbs up by, what do they do?
Perfect outtake.
Okay, well, thanks for watching this video. If you've liked it, give us a thumbs up and hit that all-important subscribe button.